Well, hey guys, my name is Justin Piercy. I'm on the staff team here at Connexus Church, Service Programming Director. So glad to come to you today online. And I'm here with the wonderful Jeff Brodie. And we just launched the series Bulletproof on Sunday. And I wanted to take the opportunity to ask Jeff a couple questions about the series. Jeff, one thing I wanted to know, I know I was engaged in this series. My wife was super engaged. I heard a lot of buzz after the services about it. If you could tell people a few more things about what you were talking about on Sunday, what would they be?
Sure. I mean, when I look at the series and think like, hey, what did I leave on the cutting room floor? I think that there's a whole conversation about something called a growth mindset. And the idea of, hey, when you face difficult times, when there's a gap between the real and the ideal, there's an element of that as, hey, when you remember how big God's purpose is for you, it can help you build resilience. But the other thing that can help you build resilience is something called a growth mindset. And that's actually something psychologists are talking about. And it's talking about the fact that like, hey, when you have a setback in your life, do you have a fixed mindset about it, or do you have a growth mindset? Do you have a growth mindset around failure? And so the question I think for us as Jesus followers is, how do I have a growth mindset about my faith? When I pray and I feel like I'm not connecting with God, do I just give up? Or do I have the grit to push through? Do I have a growth mindset? When I feel like I tried reading my Bible, but it didn't really work out for me, do I just give up and say, well, I just can't do it?
Yeah.
Or do I have a growth mindset that says, hey, I'm going to take my failure and turn it into something to help myself grow? So that would be, I think, if I had a little more time on Sunday, I would have shared. So
love that. And one more question I have for you. I know that this is a topic that is on my radar regularly, and something that I would love to have more resilience in my life, more grit in my life.
Right.
If people want to go deeper in this, what are some things that they can do?
Sure. I mean, we're going to be looking specifically at spiritual resilience and what that looks like. But as I was saying on Sunday, there are a lot of experts who've written books around the psychology of resilience. And so a few of those books are Angela Duckworth's Grit, which I shared about on Sunday. And it talks about just the study of people who have resilience, what gives them that resilience. And then there's some real practical things in there around how to grow resilience, and specifically in your kids.
Yeah.
This book, Carol Dweck's Mindset, is all about having that growth mindset, not that fixed mindset. And I actually had he's 13 now, but my 12-year-old read this book. Awesome. And he dug into it. He got the general idea of it, the fact that like, hey, when I fail, I don't want to look at that as like, wow, now I can't do this anymore. Yep. But how do I take my failures and turn them into a growth mindset? Because I think sometimes we reinforce in kids just the fact that failure is not an option, where failure should be a path forward. How do I fail forward?
Totally.
And then from the faith perspective, this book, Faith for Exiles, has been a really helpful book to me. And this is by David Kinnaman and Mark Matlock. So Mark Matlock is really was a youth pastor. He's worked with students for years. And David Kinnaman runs the Barna Group, and they're the premier research organization that you want to go to for stats. And they did a study on what makes a resilient faith. What's the difference between someone who doesn't go to church and has minimal faith, someone who attends church, and then someone who is a resilient disciple, they call, someone whose faith really grows, who hang on to their faith as they grow older. What gives them that resilience? And so Faith for Exiles, that's a brand new book just out. And I think Carrie actually did a podcast interview with David on this book.
Awesome.
So you could definitely check that out. So yeah, those are a few books that I'm reading alongside the series. Of course, we're focused on Philippians and that letter from Paul and what he has to say. And I'm excited about this Sunday.
Absolutely. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, sharing about relationships and community. How do you maintain resilience when someone drives you crazy? And then the other piece of it is, what part does community play in growing your resilience? So I'm looking forward to that this Sunday. Thanks for being on the journey with us over the course of Sunday. It was fun to kick it off, and we look forward to seeing you this week. And if they miss a message, there's a YouTube. We can put a YouTube link.
Yep, absolutely. We'll
put
hit
a
that
YouTube
on here
link.
for sure.
You can grab it there.
Yep. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you guys for tuning in, and cannot wait to see you Sunday and continue this conversation with Jeff all about resilience and being bulletproof.